I did not see you there. Oh, these I am drawing the sketches to look at later. No, you cannot see this. This is my personal journal, and the lady never shows her personal works, just like Aunt Minerva. Oh, you've never heard of Aunt Minerva? Oh, you come closer, and Comelia will tell you the tale. Aunt Minerva. The story of Aunt Minerva has been told to the Constantin children for generations. I am not even sure how she is exactly related to us, but she has always been referred to as Aunt Minerva. It is the tale of one of the first caravans, the lost caravan. When the caravan first started reaching out, Minerva had suggested heading north. We did not know about the northern areas then, and legends of the red-haired people intrigued Minerva. She took only a wagon of supplies and her brother Sergei. He was the only one brave or foolish enough to join her. Only Sergei returned to tell the tale. Traveling the vast areas going north proved difficult from the beginning. There were large stretches of land with no towns nearby. The ground got rockier and rockier for weeks until it turned into expanses of bog. There were no roads, so they traveled on top of the raised piles of peat that stretched for miles with nobody in sight for days. One day, Minerva spied a tall tower of stone sticking out of the horizon, and thinking it meant a city on dry ground, they headed in that direction. Upon getting closer, it appeared to be an ancient relic of stone obelisks alone in the bog. Symbols were carved up and down the sides, ancient symbols eroding in the wet weather. Minerva was entranced. There they set up camp for the night. Minerva studied the carvings. Then she began sketching them into one of her books. Sergei did not really care. He never cared for history much, but he decided to leave his sister to have her fun. She always liked books and read constantly. As a child, she had written everything down she could, old spells and incantations, conjurings and sacred symbols, recipes and formulas. It was good to see her enjoying herself, just as she did as a child. Sergei went to sleep. When he woke up, Minerva was still there in the same place, sketching and muttering under her breath to herself. She had stayed up all night and had no interest in breakfast. Sergei had seen her like this before, so he set a bowl of porridge next to her and hoped she would find it soon. He went to wash his face, shave, and refresh himself for the day. Upon returning, he first saw the overturned bowl and the porridge spilled on the ground. Next to the bowl stood a man with red hair and wrapped in rough woolen cloth. He barked in a foreign language at Sergei, who had no idea what he was saying, but asked back where his sister was. The red-haired man said something in a foreign language and motioned for Sergei to follow. Sergei did. Not far off was a group of men and women, all with the same red hair. Some were dressed in the same wool wrap, and some were in bright white wool cloth. Right in the middle of this group was Minerva. Her fiery eyes and straight black hair pulled up tight against her scalp always set her apart in the crowd. But here she was taller than the men. Sergei soon realized that she was standing on a rock at the edge of a bog, her hands tied behind her back, and a long rope tied around her throat. Before he could move to help his sister, she called out, stopping him, saying to stay calm. One of the red-haired men approached Sergei, holding Minerva's book in his arms. He spit at Sergei's feet and spoke in a pidgin language. Sergei realized it was a form of German. Although he didn't understand every word the man said, Sergei was told that they had entered a cursed land, and that Minerva had broken some ancient law by copying the symbols carved on the rocks. This was knowledge only for men, not women. To the red-haired people, this clearly showed that Minerva was a witch and would have to die. Sergei tried to respond in what little German he had remembered, but the red-haired people didn't seem to listen, and drums began beating a slow rhythm. The man threw the book into the bog waters at the feet of Minerva. Two men grabbed Sergei's arms as he was quickly blindfolded and his hands were bound. He could still hear the drums beating and the voices seemed to turn away from him. Calling out to Minerva to find out what was happening, she didn't answer. He could only hear the beat of the drums and the strange chanting. Soon Minerva screamed, and Sergei screamed out for her again. A heavy splosh in the bog water was heard, and the drumming stopped. The chanting stopped. Sergei screamed out again for Minerva as he was pushed to the ground. Fighting to get up in the mud and thrashing wildly, Sergei finally freed his hands and removed the blindfold. Opening his eyes, the red-haired people were all gone. All that remained was a long rope trailing into the bog. Frantically, he pulled on the rope, but there was no weight on it. It slapped out of the water on the ground before him. Minerva was not attached to it. Crawling to the water's edge, he reached in and tried to feel for something, anything. But all he found was more mud. Weeping, Sergei finally had to give up, the tears streaking down his muddy face as he wiped his eyes. There on the ground was a muddy set of footprints, leading from the edge of the bog right to Sergei's feet, and the muddy book. Picking up the book, he walked back to the cart. One final look around revealed nobody in sight. No roads, no buildings, just the bog and the stone obelisks. Sergei turned the cart and headed south. The price of knowledge can be high. There are some things not meant to be seen and not meant to be recorded. Some secrets exist for a reason.
And that is why I cannot share this with you. And you should be careful about who you share your secrets with.